Hey everybody.
Hey Caleb.
My name is Caleb Stults, in case you can read that. I'm a junior here. I am in the secondary education program with field endorsement in social studies. And I'm also in the pre-seminary program. So as my good friend Mark said 2 weeks ago, I am crazy. So tonight our passage comes from Romans chapter 13, verses 8 through 14. So we will read that. It comes up. Owe no one anything except to love each other, for the one who loves another has fulfilled the law. For the commandments, you shall not commit adultery, you shall not murder, you shall not steal, you shall not covet, and any other commandment are summed up in this word: you shall love your neighbor as yourself. Love does no wrong to a neighbor, therefore love is the fulfilling of the law. Besides this, you know the time, that the hour has come for you to wake from sleep. For salvation is nearer to us now than when we first believed. The night is far gone, the day is at hand. So then let us cast off the works of darkness and put on the armor of light. Let us walk properly as in the daytime, not in orgies and drunkenness, not in sexual immorality and sensuality, not in quarreling and jealousy, but put on the Lord Jesus Christ, and make no provision for the flesh to gratify its desires. So when I first read that, I'm like, wow. In 6 verses, that is a lot of different topics to try to cover. So I kind of want to break it down section by section, at least how I read it. So the first section, verses 8 through 10, talking about love. So for the first verse, 8, owe no one anything except to love each other. Now, when I first read that again, I was like, well, I owe plenty of stuff. That's the only reason I'm here, is because I owe a bunch of money. So already starting off, I'm kind of, well, done. But in kind of reading further and kind of learning more about it, I kind of realized that's not really the point. So we're looking at that word owe. To owe something, it means to have an obligation to something else to pay that owing back. So say I ask my friend for $10 to go to Lincoln to get some awesome food, aka Raising Cane's or Chipotle, and I now have an obligation to pay that money back. Otherwise, I'm not a very good friend at all. Or if I ask my friend to borrow their car to go to Lincoln with their money to buy that food, and then I don't return their car, I'm a terrible friend and a thief. So really not doing too good. But what it's talking about here, when it says owe no one anything except to love each other, what that's saying is to love one another. That is our highest obligation. If we're not loving one another, if we're not fulfilling that obligation, then there is nothing else that matters. So my obligation to pay that money back, to return my friend's car, that falls under the category of loving my friend. That's how we fulfill that obligation. So if we start there, you kind of see the rest of the obligations you owe to that other person or to whatever entity is because it's out of that first initial obligation to love. And again, for the one who loves another has fulfilled the law. Verse 9 talks about the commandments. You shall not commit adultery, you shall not murder, you shall not steal, covet, any other commandments. It kind of goes back again to what Jesus said. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. In verse 10, love does no wrong to your neighbor, therefore love is the fulfilling of the law. There's a lot of emphasis between law and gospel, especially at this school, for us being Lutherans. But without getting too far into that discussion, because I'm sure plenty of us have had enough of that, love is for the fulfilling of the law. We fulfill the law by loving one another, by fulfilling that obligation of what we owe. And now, with verse 11, going to the next section, because for me, when I first read this, waking up from your sleep, I'm thinking, when did we get into Revelation? And it's not what it's saying, obviously. But what it's talking about is waking up from our slumber, waking up from our sleep. It's talking about how we kind of tend to be passive when it comes to our actions of love. we don't either seek them out or we don't take advantage of the opportunities when they're presented us. And this is written almost 2,000 years ago. And they're already starting to get passive. They're starting to get lazy. They're starting to fall into that sleep. But we're told that time is now. The hour has come. For salvation is nearer to us now than when we first believed. This isn't talking about strictly time senses in a clock, but as we move forward in our lives, as we move forward in our faith, our salvation comes ever closer. And so we need to continually be more active in the way we do things. We can't just sit back and be passive about it anymore. It's a call to arms. It's a call to action. And so, how do we do that? Verse 12. The night is far gone, the day is at hand. So then let us cast off the works of darkness and put on the armor of light. I really like the armor of light because I think we've all kind of heard the Ephesians 6 with the different aspects of armor, breastplate of righteousness, etc., etc. But the armor of light. And then you have that difference between darkness and light. So what does light do? Light exposes. Light brightens. And so if we're wearing armor that is made of light, we're continually going out and we are shining that light into the darkness and exposing. That is why we put on the armor of light. That is why we are active, and that is why we do those acts of love. Verse 13. Let us walk properly as in the daytime. That's the light. If we are wearing armor of light, if light is continually shining out of us and radiating around us, we are constantly walking in the daytime. And to put on that armor of light means that we do not do these things. We do not engage in orgies and drunkenness and sexual immorality. And all of these things that the world tells us are good things. All these things that the world tells us that we can do, enjoy life. But because we're wearing that armor of light, we are representing Jesus. We don't do that. In verse 14, put on the Lord Jesus Christ and make no provision for the flesh to gratify its desires. That armor of light. That armor of light is Jesus. So we're not just shining light and radiating light, we're radiating Jesus himself. And you want to tie that all back together, bring it all full circle, because again, in my opinion, all of these things, they can be separated out, and you can talk about them differently, but they're all connected by this. We keep the commandments through loving. We talked about that earlier on. So then how do we do that? We do that by actively taking charge and putting on that armor of light and representing Jesus Christ. We live our lives in a way that people notice we are Christians. It's a song that whenever I hear it, I always smile. They will know we are Christians by our love. They will know we are Christians by our love because it will be on us. We wear it on our sleeves. And for me, thinking about this idea, thinking about being active, thinking about being this person who radiates Jesus Christ in this form of the armor of light, a song comes to mind. And so I kind of want to play it for us now.
God's word with power, revealing all of his mysteries, making everything as plain as day. And if I have faith to say to a mountain jump, and it jumps, but I don't love, I'm nothing. If I give all I own to the poor, or even go to the stake to be burned as a martyr, but I don't love, I've got nowhere. So, no matter what I say, no matter what I believe, no matter what I do, I'm bankrupt without love.
Love is sacrifice. That is probably my favorite line from that song. To finish off tonight, I kind of wanted to bring a personal example of how we live like this, how we are the proof of God's love. So, my senior year of high school, someone decided to come into my school with a gun and start shooting. And so our school went into lockdown, as is the normal procedure. So we're all huddled in the corner of this classroom away from all the windows. There's about 25 of us trying to cram into this corner. And I remember just sitting there praying, God, let everyone be okay. Let everyone be okay. Then there's this girl who's right next to me. She's pressed up against me. And I can just feel her breathing start getting faster and faster and faster. She's hyperventilating for obvious reasons. We were in a scary situation. And so my arm just moved around her like this. I remember just doing deep breaths, just like that. And we kept doing it until she finally started her breathing slowed down. She got back to normal. Soon afterwards, we were escorted out by a SWAT team, and that was that. About 2 months later, I'm sitting at lunch, just eating lunch. I thought there would be something special, but we're just eating lunch. And she walks up to me and hands me this card and walks away. And I'm like, why? Because I forgot about everything that had happened. And we weren't necessarily friends. She just hands me this card and walks off. I'm like, that was weird. And so I open the card, and it's from her parents saying, our daughter told us what you did for her on that day. How you went outside of yourself and helped her, and we just wanted to thank you for that. Sorry, I told this story a bunch of times, and it still kind of hits me. And that, to me, that's how we live in love. We don't go out necessarily and just seek out these acts of love to try to fulfill a quota, as it were. We take advantage of the opportunities given to us. Because in that moment, I wasn't sitting there going, God, I need to show love to someone today. Let me do this. I'm saying, God moved my arm around her, because that was not me. I was not thinking about that. We take advantage of the opportunities we're given. Because I guarantee you, though they may not be that obvious as my example, we have situations at multiple points every single day where we can love someone. It doesn't take much. We don't have to spend money that we don't have. We just have to take advantage of the opportunities that we're given. And so if that's the one thing I can tell you tonight, it's that just look more. See the opportunities that God gives you, because I guarantee you, there's more than what you realize. You see that person, and in that back of your mind, it kind of itches going, I wonder what's wrong with them. But then we walk away. I'm just as guilty of it. Instead of just walking away, let's go talk to them. Let's figure out what the problem is. Let's love each other. To close this out tonight, I want to do a benediction that my former pastor of my church used to do, and it's always really stuck with me. So as we leave tonight, may Christ go with you. May he go before you to show you the way. May he go behind you to encourage you. May he go beside you to befriend you, above you to watch over you, and within you to give you peace.